In 1901, lifelong friends Bill Harley and Arthur Davidson have nothing but a dream.
So we'll have to do.
Let's get started.
After 4 long years, their fierce determination has helped them turn that dream into reality. The first Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Then, the thrill of that triumph is shattered.
I can't believe this. It's all gone.
When a shocking theft threatens to destroy Harley-Davidson before it ever gets started.
Want to go fishing tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I haven't been fishing in ages. It'll be fun.
In 1901, 2 young factory workers from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, are gambling everything they have to start a business of their own. Manufacturing a vehicle that will one day go on to become an American icon. Their names are Bill Harley and Arthur Davidson.
Harley-Davidson started with the 2 of them, Arthur Davidson and Bill Harley. They had the dream. They had the idea.
I don't know what he was doing that night, but he came home so drunk.
Though they are the closest of friends, the 2 young business partners have very different personalities.
Arthur Davidson had the personality. He was fun, outgoing, talked to everyone. Everybody loved him.
And he gets in, he kicks my dad by accident, and I goes, "What are you, drunk?" And he goes running out.
You might meet him on the street and you're having lunch with him 10 minutes later and having a beer. Just that kind of guy, big personality. William Harley, the exact opposite.
William Harley is 20 years old, with a passion for engineering.
Withdrawn, quiet, extremely intelligent, but not a talker. He would rather be left alone, drawing, designing. He talked with his pencil. So complete, total opposites.
Despite their differences, the 2 men connect over a desire to do something new, something great. And there's no field more exciting than the world of transportation. The turn of the century has brought previously unimaginable advances, with hundreds of railroad lines spanning the continents, while steamships crisscross the world's oceans. In Milwaukee, however, as in most of the United States, people's day-to-day travel is mostly still on horseback. But the invention of a new mode of transportation is changing everything: the bicycle.
At that time, getting you from A to B was an animal, but now here comes the bicycle. And then you can easily pedal these bicycles and cover great distances. It was a huge invention, and it was changing everything.
While bicycle fever has swept the nation, it's a more groundbreaking innovation that has inspired Harley and Davidson's dream. German inventors Karl Benz and Gottlieb Daimler have each harnessed the power of the gasoline-fueled internal combustion engine and are manufacturing the world's first automobiles. While others have adapted these engines for bicycles, creating the world's first motorcycles. While Henry Ford won't debut his Model A car for another 2 years, Massachusetts's Indian Motorcycle Company is already making its name as the nation's first motorcycle manufacturer. And now, as other small companies have sprouted up in Milwaukee, Bill and Arthur have taken notice.
In 1901, there's already 2 motorcycles being made right in Milwaukee. The Merkel is on the south side, the Mitchell is in Racine, and Indian has already come from the East Coast. And that was the inspiration to get them going. They're seeing motorcycles and they're thinking, wow, why can't we do something like this? You know, the inspiration is there, boom.
Even though neither man is an engineer, Bill and Arthur believe they can build a motorcycle as good or better than the ones they've seen zipping through Milwaukee's streets. But to do that, they know they will have to start small.
It's nice. I think it'll be a really good space for us.
With no money to rent a proper workshop, Harley and Davidson set to work in a small, rundown outbuilding on the Davidson property. The 21-year-old Harley and 20-year-old Davidson will rely on Harley's past experience making bicycles to create their first prototype using a standard bicycle frame.
That's what we'll have to do.
Let's get started. Bill Harley worked for 2 bicycle companies, eventually rising to the position of draftsman.
While their current jobs in an electrical motor factory give them some understanding of how engines work, they've never actually tried to build one until now.
Arthur was a pattern maker, and Bill Harley at that time was a draftsman. Neither of them were actual machinists, and neither of them had actual fabrication skills. Building a motor that could be mobile was an enormous challenge for them.
Presenting perhaps the greatest challenge
Not bad, huh?
is the motor's size.
The first Harley-Davidson is really a diamond frame, and it's 2 triangles together. And that doesn't allow for the very largest size engine to go into it.
Though they're still working full-time jobs, Harley and Davidson dedicate their nights and weekends to the project, studying existing engines and learning as they go.
I think our biggest challenge is going to be power.
Bigger engine, though, creates its own problems. All right. Let's find out.
Finally, after 2 long years, they are ready to get their first model on the road. But after it fails its first test, they're left wondering what went wrong.
The first Harley-Davidson simply did not make enough power to provide much speed over flat land, to say nothing of climbing hills.
I really don't know what we're missing. Maybe we just need a fresh perspective. Your brother works on trains, right?
Yeah, we're in Kansas.
It can't hurt, right?
I'll send him a letter and see what he thinks.
Bill and Arthur realize that to build a motor large and powerful enough to make their dream a reality, they will need help. So when Arthur's older brother, Walter Davidson, returns home for a family visit, the 2 young business partners are determined to convince him to stay and help them pursue their dream. Walter is 5 years older and rising through the ranks of a railroad company in Kansas.
Walter Davidson was working at the time as a machinist for the railroad, and as such, he had very good practical machining skills and was able to do the fabrication necessary to build those first motors.
It's not much, but this is it.
We're having a tough time living up to Bill's drawing, but here, look, it's a good design.
My great-grandfather, Walter Davidson, was an electrician by the time he was practically a teenager. Then he became a machinist and a mechanic. Very, very skilled with his hands.
Despite the failure of their first road test, Walter is impressed with what the young partners have accomplished so far.
We need a lot more torque and power. So what we need to do is shift this around right here.
And believes with his engineering expertise, he could help them build an engine that will deliver all the power they need. Instead of returning to Kansas, Walter Davidson quits his job with the railroad, risking it all on this brand new company.
When Walter Davidson quit his job in 1903 to move back home to Milwaukee, he's taking a risk. It's not unlike if somebody was to do the same thing now to help with a startup.
My great-grandfather was the third link that we needed to getting the Harley-Davidson going.
With Walter now on board, Bill and Arthur completely reimagine their design.
If the frame isn't a standard angular shaped bicycle, right, and instead curves around the engine.
This is gonna be a doozy to fabricate.
No. It's easy.
All right, see, we can lower the engine, put it directly between the wheels, which gives us a number of benefits. It allows us to increase the size of the flywheel and the engine to improve the balance.
And it will lower the center of gravity and simplify the drivetrain.
The greatest innovation of the first Harley-Davidson motorcycle was something that's referred to as the loop frame. The traditional diamond-style bicycle frame simply didn't leave enough room to accommodate the crankcase of a larger motorcycle engine.
But to build such a complex new frame and motor, the makeshift home workshop will no longer do. The three men need access to proper industrial tools.
I'm gonna ask Bill.
Arthur and Walter's oldest brother, William A. Davidson, happens to be the foreman at an industrial parts company in Milwaukee. Risking his job at the machine shop, he allows his brothers to use the facilities after hours.
In the earliest days of their production, they had such limited access to adequate equipment. They are building these bikes by hand.
Now, with access to the proper equipment and Walter Davidson's engineering skills, the three men are finally able to bring their vision to life, and the first Harley-Davidson motorcycle is born. With the creation of this new prototype, in 1904, the Harley-Davidson Motor Company is formed.
The company was named Harley-Davidson because it sounded better. Everyone has asked that question. Harley-Davidson sounds a lot better than Davidson-Harley.
Soon, they begin production, building each bike by hand. They hit the market in 1905. Over the next year, Harley-Davidson manufactures and sells 8 motorcycles with a sticker price of $200, the equivalent of about $7,000 today.
People then probably looked at that thing like it was a spaceship. They smelled it because they burned a lot of oil, and then the thing whizzing by like, oh my God, what is that?
With money now coming in, the founders begin to plan for the future. The company's $170 in profits, about $6,000 in today's money, are kept hidden in a coffee can stuffed in Arthur's mattress. The founders plan to use this money to finance a move to a small factory facility. But then, the unexpected happens.
I can't believe this. It's all gone. What do you mean it's gone?
According to legend, the money was hidden in Arthur Davidson's mattress, and it is said that his cleaning lady actually stole that money from him.
Suddenly, without the funds to expand operations, Harley-Davidson could be out of business just as it's getting started. But the setback only pulls the founders closer together. They vow to keep working until they've earned back what they lost. Then they get a big break when Walter Davidson finds an unlikely investor.
All right, boys. I might have found a solution. I contacted our uncle near Madison.
Wait, the hermit with the bee farm?
That's the one.
After hearing what happened, the Davidsons' uncle comes through with a loan for the amount that had been stolen.
They went to an uncle, his name was James McLay, and they were able to borrow $170 in seed money from Mr. McLay. They referred to him as the honey uncle because he was actually a beekeeper.
With the loan from their uncle, the company is finally able to move out of their workshop and into the first true Harley-Davidson factory.
Look at this.
Not bad, right?
Not bad.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Like the components of an engine, each of the four founders fills a crucial role in the company's operations. Bill Harley is the chief engineer, Arthur Davidson the sales manager, and Walter Davidson oversees day-to-day operations as company president. In addition, the Harley-Davidson family expands when the Davidsons' other brother, William A. Davidson, leaves his job to join the company as the works manager.
My great-grandfather, William A., my two great-uncles, Walter and Arthur, and their great friend, Bill Harley. In their early 20s, in their very humble beginnings, they were always driven for success, and the four of them brought together strengths from different experiences and backgrounds.
With the management team in place, Harley-Davidson hires 6 full-time workers and begins turning out about 1 motorcycle per week.
Founders of the company and their early employees, they made it a point to hire people who were hardworking. I've often used the phrase that good enough was not good enough for them. They wanted to be next level.
With the new Harley-Davidson motorcycles now in production, the pressure falls squarely on Arthur Davidson to sell them. And in a market becoming crowded with similar small motorcycle companies, he has an idea that will help Harley-Davidson stand out from the competition. Dealerships.
Back in those early days, you would buy a motorcycle just about anywhere, hardware stores, general stores. Harley-Davidson was one of the first companies to build dedicated motorcycle-only dealerships, and I think that went a long way to driving their early sales success.
Arthur's cutting-edge marketing tactics pay off, helping to establish the Harley-Davidson brand across the country. And now they need to take their lead from the biggest name in American motorcycles. George Hendy is the founder of America's first motorcycle company, Indian, which began production in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1901. And he's made his name by winning on the racetrack.
George Hendy was a bicycle racer and eventually a bicycle manufacturer from Massachusetts before he founded Indian Motorcycles.
Indian's bikes, with their eye-catching red paint job, are the nation's top seller at over 1,000 motorcycles a year.
There's a lot of companies from the earliest days of motorcycles, but two American manufacturers emerge as the two biggest competitors. That's Harley-Davidson of Wisconsin and then Indian Motorcycles of Massachusetts.
Hendy is dominating the marketplace because Indian is winning big on the nation's thriving board track racing circuit.
This was really the dawn of the motoring age in America, and motorcycle racing was hugely popular. It was the most popular spectator sport in America, with many of the biggest board track races drawing as many as 10 or 15,000 spectators.
But Harley-Davidson has stayed out of racing for a reason. The popular board track races are deadly.
Hundreds of people died, not only racers, but audience members also. It wasn't unusual for a motorcycle to go flying off the edge of one of these board tracks and into the grandstands.
Though the founders want no part of the dangerous board track racing, they realize they need a way to showcase their motorcycles' quality and reliability that only competition can do.
There's a long-distance motorcycle race in New York.
It'd be great exposure.
Exactly. And with the way our bikes have been performing lately, I have a feeling we could take home top prize. We just need a rider.
Someone who knows how to ride our machines.
I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna win it.
All right.
While not without its risks, endurance racing is far safer. And William Harley and Arthur Davidson are convinced company president Walter Davidson is the rider who can lead them to victory.
My great-grandfather, Walter Davidson, loved to ride bicycles and he loved to race bicycles. So when we go through this transformation of putting motors on the bicycle, it was just a natural fit to keep going. Endurance racing was perfect for his organized, obsessive-compulsive nature, because with endurance racing, it's all about making marks on time. So Walter throws a motorcycle on a train, takes this motorcycle all the way out to the East Coast to join this Catskill Mountain Challenge.
The Catskill Mountain Challenge is the nation's most important endurance event. And the overwhelming favorite is America's #1 motorcycle manufacturer, Indian.
Indian has already got a 2-year jump on Harley-Davidson. Indian has a full support crew of mechanics. Harley-Davidson, they have no support crew. Nobody gave us any respect back here. We were the cowboys and the hillbillies back in Milwaukee.
Endurance racing wasn't necessarily about speed. It was really about reliability and durability. The endurance races challenged the riders to cross all different sorts of terrain and all different weather conditions.
Walter takes on the Indian racing team and their crews entirely on his own. And against all odds, he keeps pace with his rivals, pushing his bike and himself to the limit.
My great-grandfather, Walter Davidson, enters this 3-day endurance ride doing his own maintenance and wins the thing. which was just a huge accomplishment for Walter and for Harley-Davidson. This race made headlines on the East Coast in all the newspapers. Harley-Davidson beats Indian. Huge moment for the motor company.
After the race, word quickly spreads about the tough, powerful Harley-Davidson motorcycle and its extraordinary rider.
The old adage says, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And that was very much true back then. The success on the racetrack went a long way towards marketing and advertising of these early motorcycles. Harley-Davidson caught up to Indian very, very quickly, both on the racetrack and in the showroom.
But if you're looking for a smooth ride, you won't do any better than the latest from Harley-Davidson. Come on in. I'll show you what we've got in stock.
Making Harley-Davidson's success even sweeter is that each of the partners has found someone to share in it.
Great.
In 1908, Walter Davidson proposes to Emma Rosenheim. Arthur Davidson marries Clara Beisel, while Bill Harley makes Anna Jacktuber his bride. Though the founders are all settling down, at work, they're focused on establishing Harley-Davidson at the cutting edge of motorcycle technology.
But how's it affecting the crankshaft?
Well, the crankshaft has a single pin, and both pistons are attached to it, so they fire unevenly.
That's what's creating the potato-potato sound.
Exactly.
What Arthur calls the potato-potato sound makes its debut in 1909, when Harley-Davidson introduces its first motorcycle with a V-twin engine. It is a sound that's impossible to ignore and one that will become iconic.
What makes a Harley is that vibration, and it's actually the mechanical makeup of the motor, the way the motor fires almost at the same time. It's a patented sound by Harley, and I think that's what makes a Harley a Harley.
From only 8 motorcycles sold in their first year, Harley-Davidson has sold almost 13,000 vehicles in less than 10. And with the powerful V-twin Harleys now driving a huge increase in demand, Harley-Davidson builds a 600,000 square foot factory in Milwaukee.
Harley-Davidson's early growth was remarkably rapid. They went from literally building motorcycles in a small shed behind the Davidson family home in 1905 to building their first real factory in 1913, legendary Juneau Avenue facility in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Built at a cost of $100,000, over $3 million in today's money. The state-of-the-art production facility announces in no uncertain terms that Bill Harley and Arthur Davidson's quintessentially American dream has come true.
In Europe, if you were the son of the baker, you were a baker. If you were the son of the blacksmith, you were a blacksmith. You never thought you could go from being a blacksmith to starting a motorcycle company. We've always had a certain swagger as a nation, and Harley showed that swagger as well.
The following year, with the new factory meeting ever-increasing demand, sales rise to almost 17,000, and the possibilities for growth seem limitless. Demand for Harley-Davidsons isn't just coming from the American public. A prominent Army general wants to put their motorcycles to use in the military.
Harley-Davidson provided a few hundred J-model motorcycles to General Blackjack Pershing. He used those motorcycles to pursue the famous Mexican revolutionary Pancho Villa. Those very first Harley-Davidson motorcycles performed quite well in the desert and started a long relationship between the Harley-Davidson Motor Company and the U.S. military.
The success with General Pershing quickly pays dividends when, in the following year, the U.S. is drawn into World War I. and there is a sudden explosion in demand from the Army. Though both of the nation's top two motorcycle companies vie to be the primary supplier, Harley-Davidson's prior work with General Pershing gives them a leg up on India. Harley-Davidson gets to work, designing vehicles specifically tailored to the military's unique needs, including top engineer William Harley's sidecar gun carriage.
There was some experimentation with really kind of a combat-ready motorcycle, which was a sidecar chassis and a machine gun with an armored plate mounted in front of it.
The Army orders over 15,000 Harley-Davidson motorcycles to be shipped to France, and the company meets with high-ranking officers to perfect the designs, working around the clock to meet the demand.
So what's going to be key here is the suspension. This is going to give you the stability in the field that you need.
That's good, but what about the reliability?
We're going to increase the width of the tire and deeper tread, so it's going to help you cover any kind of terrain, mud, sand, whatever you got.
World War I is the first major military conflict in which Harley-Davidsons are used. Thousands and thousands of bikes are going to military production, actually not only for the U.S. military, but for the U.S. allies.
And this is basically what the final bike looks like?
Yes, sir. And that's going to be your most efficient method of travel in the field, getting supplies, ammunition, information, whatever you need.
The military has very stringent specifications, and they come to manufacturers knowing what they want. And if it's going to survive on the muddy roads of France, it's going to go a long way in helping develop your consumer products.
How long till you can get up to production?
Say about 2 months.
As World War I rages across Europe, motorcycles, including the thousands of Harley-Davidsons, become an increasingly effective tool in the Allied effort.
During World War I, motorcycles rapidly replaced soldiers mounted on horseback for all sorts of purposes: messenger use, courier deliveries, scouting on the front.
For all its influence on the battlefield, Harley-Davidson's most iconic moment is as the First World War has come to an end, when Corporal Ray Holtz of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, enters Germany on a Harley. The image brings worldwide acclaim to the company. And when Harley-Davidson returns to the civilian marketplace, buyers respond as the company starts to dominate the market. By the dawn of the 1920s, Harley-Davidson is the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world, and their dominance continues throughout the economic boom of the Roaring '20s. A decade that also gives rise to the iconic nickname Hog, inspired by the championship Harley-Davidson racing team mascot.
I think what makes a Harley is it's a visceral experience. I think that's what sucks people in. It's the sound and the feeling, but I think motorcycles are always going to be non-logical decision, a luxury item.
Despite all the success, Harley-Davidson is facing a challenge from the auto industry as it shifts into high gear.
There was a lot of competition from the automotive market.
And then, after the stock market crash of 1929, the Great Depression sees the market for motorcycles all but disappear and quickly pushes the company to the edge of collapse.
The Depression really had a terrible effect on Harley-Davidson. They saw their sales plummet from a high of 24,000 motorcycles in 1929 down to just 3,700 motorcycles in 1934.
Harley-Davidson's productions fell to really dangerously low numbers. And so what this does is it causes them to really dial back on product development.
With the walls closing in, the founders know that if they're going to survive, they need to figure out a way to sell bikes without having the resources to create new models. And over the next several years, Arthur Davidson finds an answer by emphasizing style.
You started to see two-tone paint jobs, highly detailed, hand-painted pinstriping on the gas tanks and new logos each year. And that was really the beginning of seeing style rise to the forefront of importance for Harley-Davidson.
But in 1937, as Harley-Davidson slowly works its way back, William A. Davidson, one of the 4 founders, passes away after being hospitalized for an infection at the age of 66. With Davidson's death and the other founders aging, the 2 families sense that the time for Harley-Davidson's next generation is coming. Walter and Arthur Davidson, along with William Harley, run the company together for over 4 decades. Together, these 3 men worked to create a product that captured the American dream.
When you ride a Harley-Davidson anywhere in the world, there is a sense of freedom. That timeless pursuit of adventure is definitely freedom for the soul.
And within the span of a year, the company loses 2 more founders. William Harley passes away in 1942 of heart failure. And within the span of a year, longtime President Walter Davidson loses his battle with liver disease. After their deaths, the torch is officially passed to the next generation, as William Davidson's son, 37-year-old Bill H. Davidson, is named as the company's new president. It is a job he has been preparing for since he started at the company 15 years before, working his way up from the shop floor.
William H. Davidson came up through the company. He understood it. He had a great rapport with the employees and with riders. If somebody was riding through Milwaukee, he would come out and pose with them at the curb in front of the factory with their bikes. He would often give them tours of the factory.
As Bill Davidson settles into his role as president, he faces a daunting challenge. With World War II raging, the U.S. Army is asking Bill Davidson to produce nearly 30,000 motorcycles per year.
I understand. Thank you. And yes, of course.
If you need to get a message to somebody, there's often only one way to do it and do it securely. Give it to a soldier, get him on his motorcycle, and off he goes.
It's not long before a wartime Harley becomes iconic.
Really, the mainstay model that Harley built for the U.S. and many of its allies was the WLA, as it was called. Some call it the Liberator, but at least 60,000 of those bikes were produced.
In 1945, the war comes to an end. Many of the returning GIs become civilian customers, as once again, Harley-Davidson's wartime performance pays off in a post-war spike in sales. And though the future looks bright, in 1950, Bill Davidson gets word that he's lost his uncle, the last surviving founder, Arthur Davidson, along with his wife, Clara. The 2 are tragically killed in a 2-car collision 3 miles south of Davidson's home. With Arthur's death, all the original founders have passed. Now, all eyes turn to Bill Davidson, with the expectation that he'll maintain the legacy that was left, one of industry dominance.
Over 200 different companies made motorcycles just in America. As the years progressed, everybody's kind of fallen by the wayside, and finally by the early 1950s, there's only 2 left, Harley-Davidson and Indian. Indian kind of slacked off on innovating their products. And that was just enough to put Indian out of business, and In 1952-53, Harley-Davidson, my family became the sole maker of motorcycles in the United States of America.
In just over 50 years, Harley-Davidson has evolved from the dream of two childhood friends into an industry giant. But with the second generation of family now at the helm, a new and unexpected challenge arises. Because while the post-war years have been good for Harley-Davidson's business, Bill Davidson is suddenly facing a threat to the company's reputation from some of its newest and most loyal customers.
All of these hundreds of thousands of ex-GIs return to the U.S. and bored and seeking that same adrenaline rush or excitement that they felt on the battlefield, many of them return to motorcycles.
Having survived the war, many GIs embrace a rebellious outsider ethos, often on the back of a Harley-Davidson.
This really was in America the birth of sort of the outlaw motorcycle lifestyle. We had these GIs who were seeking adrenaline, seeking a thrill, and seeking to reclaim that close camaraderie that they felt in the military. And what they did was form motorcycle clubs.
The most iconic club to emerge from this trend is California's Hells Angels, founded in 1948, and whose war-hardened members swear by one motorcycle alone.
To be a Hells Angel, you had to have a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. End of story. I think it's still that way with that club and a lot of other clubs.
Throughout the 1950s and early 60s, motorcycle clubs such as the Hells Angels help establish Harley-Davidson as a symbol of rebellion, often adapting their motorcycles to express themselves.
This was really the birth of the chopper. The idea of a chopper refers to chopping off any unnecessary elements of the motorcycle, chopping off the lights and the fenders and the saddlebags and the luggage to really strip that motorcycle down to its bare essence and make it as fast and as fine handling as possible.
Though it has helped short-term sales, the growing popularity of the biker gang's outlaw image is in direct opposition to its long-standing, family-friendly customer base.
The rise of the outlaw biker lifestyle really created a problem for Harley-Davidson because obviously the motor company didn't want to be affiliated with these hard-drinking, fist-fighting motorcycle hooligans.
Bill Davidson knows their outsider image has created an opening in the market for competition from Japan.
Motorcycling enjoyed a huge spike in popularity in the United States, largely driven by a new generation of very lightweight, very accessible motorcycles from Japan. They were very small, they were very easy to use, and most importantly, they were electric start.
And so you see this influx of Japanese motorcycles. They're coming into the country at a rate never seen before, and Harley-Davidson has to pivot.
Bill H. Davidson knows that to keep up with the foreign imports, Harley must keep up with the times. And in 1963, brings in someone he believes can help, his son, Willie G. Davidson.
Willie G. was the grandson of William Davidson, one of the original four founders. Willie G. came to Harley-Davidson in the 60s, fresh out of the Pasadena College of Art and Design, and he founded Harley-Davidson's first styling department.
A lifelong motorcycle racer with an eye for style, Willie G.'s time at art school in California immersed him in the motorcycle customizing scene, where he began to design custom bikes. He brings a fresh perspective that his father hopes will inject new life into the family company. But it will take more than just an influx of new blood for Harley-Davidson to respond to the rise of imported motorcycles. As a private company, Bill Davidson simply doesn't have the capital he needs to launch a major pivot. And by 1965, he faces a tough decision. Going public will raise the financing required, but doing so means Harley-Davidson will no longer be a family-owned business.
Harley-Davidson went public in 1965 in an effort to raise cash to take on the Japanese manufacturers.
But as the nation's economy slips into recession in 1969, sales continue to decline, leaving them vulnerable to a hostile takeover.
Harley-Davidson was faced with a hostile takeover from a conglomerate called Bangor Punta. To protect itself, Harley-Davidson partnered with American Manufacturing Foundry, AMF.
Bill Davidson reluctantly merges with AMF, a massive industrial conglomerate, best known for its bowling equipment.
AMF was going to bring a tremendous amount of resources, which would allow us to expand our manufacturing.
Though as the sluggish economy continues into the 1970s, AMF is soon putting pressure on Bill Davidson to lay off workers and lower quality to increase profits. Unwilling to be part of the gutting of his family's company, Bill H. Davidson resigns in 1973.
This was a very, very difficult decision for him. What we didn't see coming was that the leadership of AMF had a little bit different style, if you will, than the leadership that had been in place at Harley-Davidson up until 1969.
With Bill's departure, only one member of the founding families remains, Willie G. Davidson, who has continued to serve as the company's head of design. Willie G's designs for three iconic bikes, the FX Superglide, the FXS Lowrider, and the XL-CR Racer, had helped to keep the company afloat. But he's also clashed with company brass over its willingness to compromise on quality, and fears that it will only drive away loyal customers who he had worked so hard to keep. Soon, his fears prove prophetic. By the early 1980s, Harley-Davidson's sales have cratered, and with the company teetering on the brink, AMF is looking to cut its losses.
It became clear that AMF didn't really understand the motorcycle business and they were looking to get out.
When Willie G learns that AMF is looking to sell, he's determined to take back control of the company his grandfather started, and partners with the one AMF executive who seems to understand the culture of this family company, Harley-Davidson president Vaughn Beals.
He looked at the situation and said, we leadership could pool our resources and buy the company back.
On June 16, 1981, Willie G, along with Vaughn Beals and other executives, buy back Harley-Davidson for $81.5 million, the equivalent of $275 million today. Having finally gained control of the company they love, Willie G. Davidson, Vaughn Beals, and the other new employee owners stage a 750-mile celebratory ride from the company's York, Pennsylvania plant to Harley-Davidson headquarters in Milwaukee.
13 employee owners of Harley-Davidson rode to communicate to the community that the company was back in the hands of enthusiasts for once and for all.
With Beals installed as CEO and Willie G continuing on as head of design and the public face of the company, the new owner's plan to revitalize Harley-Davidson is put into action. Upgrading material quality, improving manufacturing efficiency, and most of all, giving Willie G free rein to bring the buyers back by leaning in to Harley-Davidson's signature style.
One of the first products from the newly reformed Harley-Davidson Motor Company was the first Softail. This was really the next bike in the long line of Willie G designed iconic Harley-Davidson models.
In the ensuing years, the Softail is followed by a string of equally legendary Willie G designs, such as the XR1000, the Fat Boy, and the Dynaglide Sturgis, motorcycles that visually celebrate Harley's past while delivering the power and precision of the present.
His design and understanding of motorcycles is really quite amazing because he understands proportions, he understands materials, he understands colors, he understands shapes, he understands the ergonomics of how a rider looks going down the road on one of our bikes. And when you combine all of that DNA together, it creates rolling sculpture because it's so beautiful to look at.
In the midst of all this, on July 1st, 1987, Harley-Davidson takes another monumental step, becoming a publicly traded company and celebrating with a now iconic ride on Wall Street. By the turn of the millennium, Harley-Davidson is not only back, it is stronger than ever. And they haven't looked back, continuing to expand upon the iconic brand founded 120 years ago.
Recently, Harley-Davidson has made large strides to expand the appeal of its product, moving into new areas as diverse as electric bicycles and even electric motorcycles.
Into his 90s, Willie G continued to serve as company ambassador, and Harley-Davidson's value has continued to increase to close to $5 billion. It is America's #1 motorcycle manufacturer, with its place in the nation's cultural landscape unquestioned.
Well, Harley-Davidson is a quintessential American company because they make the quintessential American product, the hog. It's not like the sleek motorcycles of Europe, and it's not like the efficient motorcycles of Japan. It's a big, mean machine, and it represents the outlaw, and it represents America because America truly is a maverick.
That spirit has been the driving force behind a family business that has lasted through the generations.
Especially today, I wish I knew the founders and I could tell them what success we've had, but I do have to share with you, I truly believe deep down inside, they know. They're looking down on us and they're saying, oh my gosh, look what we've created, something fabulous for the world.
The fourth generation of Davidsons continues the tradition. Willie G's son, Bill Davidson, serves as vice president of the Harley-Davidson Museum in Milwaukee, while his daughter, Karen Davidson, is the creative director for the company's general merchandise division.
I think Harley-Davidson is an American icon. To say that we're 120 years old, and to know that we started this great company back in 1903 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and have been here since 1903. And the history of the world and how Harley-Davidson, in many instances, has played an important part of that.
From its humble beginnings in Arthur Davidson's backyard shed, two friends worked against all odds to bring their dream to life. And with the help of family, lived not only to see it come true, but across 4 generations to change the way we live by redefining the way we ride.